Dust powder.
Default with ice. Finished all the 3 plates.
Sub. Where are?
Sir. Chachu.
Chalo. Are we the older one?
ये साइड भी नहीं और वो साइड भी नहीं। क्यों?
Beautiful.
Max 100 to 1.
Our mobile signature MTATX is available now and allows you to purchase Metro North tickets directly from your smartphone. Download the free app today.
Subway to Battery Park.
Was she not drinking too big of a
This one, right side, 4-5.
Dad kept saying, "Oh, you have it." I don't have it. I never forget.
I was taking my own photos.
You can't find your doctors anymore. You had them in a warehouse.
The lady did it to me one time, and I started doing it to everybody.
1980. You don't have What's that? Yeah, I know. Where are you going to get down?
Next time. Next bridge.
वो अभी बैटरी खत्म हो जाता उसका स्टैचू वाली बत्ती के पास वो ऑन नहीं है पता वो ऑन नहीं है पता
Yeah, I see the light right there, but
मेरे हेयर ड्रेस सील करवा दो आ रहा है
The Manhattan, my name is John, I'm your tour guide. Skipper is Captain Chris. Roman is downstairs vanning the snack stand for your refreshment and snacks. Less than a 90-minute tour. We go down the Hudson River that we're on, the Hudson River. We go in front of back around the southern tip of Manhattan called the Battery and back here to the pier. Well, take my word for it. There's the Empire State Building over there. Can't see it though. All right, but to our right, in the foreground, is a neighborhood called Tribeca, Triangle Below Canal. At one time, an industrial warehousing area. Now a lot of the buildings have been eradicated or they've been modernized for commercial and residential use. John Bon Jovi, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Taylor Swift, Meryl Streep, the actors all lived in Tribeca. Now, to our right, you look up the Hudson River and we can see a golf driving range net up there. And I get this question all the time. Another mile north of that driving range net is the USS Intrepid Sea, Air and Space Museum on West 44th Street, where Captain Chesley Sullenberger landed Flight 1549 here on the Hudson River in January 2009 that became known as the Miracle on the Hudson. Now, Captain Sullenberger, look to your right, we can see about 2/3 of the Empire State Building right there. But LaGuardia Airport is north and to the right of the Empire State Building. Captain Sully was flying westerly over the Bronx when he flew into a flock of geese that killed the power on his Airbus. But as we know, Captain Sullenberger kept his cool, and no power left on his Airbus, made a left on top of the George Washington Bridge, which is 10 miles further north up the Hudson River. Captain Sullenberger made a left and glided down on top of the George Washington Bridge, landing that Airbus on the Hudson River, right in front of the Sea, Air, and Space Museum of the Intrepid. All 155 passengers survived, of course. Now look to your right. Now we can see the Empire State Building, or most of it. Again, 1,454 feet in height, 102 stories. Built in 1 year and 45 days, 4,000 workers working 7 days a week, averaging 4 to 5 stories a week. In one 10-day period, they erected 14 stories. 5 men did die building the Empire State Building. But does anybody know the Empire State Building was hit by an airplane? What? Yeah. In July of 1945, during World War II, a B-25 bomber flew into the north side or the far side on a rainy, foggy morning. The pilot, low on fuel, disoriented, didn't see the upper third of the building, but so well built, the Empire State Building, the structural integrity not compromised. The buildings reopened later that week. To our right is the second largest city in the state of New Jersey, Jersey City, New Jersey. Jersey City at one time was a tough working class waterfront town, but when the docks dried up, fell to decline. But now, the past 20 years, a big real estate boom here in New Jersey. Again, a lot of corporations and companies have left New York City to go to Jersey City for cheaper rent and better tax breaks. Also, with the PATH train running underneath the Hudson River, connecting 2 locations in Jersey City to the big subway transit hub in Lower Manhattan, the Fulton Transit Mall, and with the ferries here, making commuting between Jersey City and Manhattan much more convenient. To our right is the tallest commercial building in New Jersey, the 800-foot Goldman Sachs Tower, built on the side of the Colgate factory that was demolished in the 1980s. All that remains, Colgate sign and 50-foot diameter clock. For the gentleman in the rear, I ask you, to the right of the empty sky is number 3 tower that opened a year ago at 1,079 feet. Those are the triangle frames on the north and south side of number 3 tower. To the right of number 3 tower is number 4 tower at 979 feet in height. The first tower to be opened out to New World Trade Center over 6 years ago. 6 buildings were replaced the 7 that were destroyed at the 9/11 attack that killed nearly 2,800 people, including 343 firemen, 23 police officers, and 15 EMTs. But we should be reminded that to this very day, 1,100 victims have yet to be identified from the 9/11 attack. 1,100 remain unidentified to this day. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I ask you to turn around, stand up, turn around, and look at the World Trade Center. In front of the World Trade Center is the World Financial Center, where 2.5 million people come here to work here daily. From left to right, that silver building is the Mercantile Exchange. The building, the Green Pyramid, American Express. The building, the Green Dome, is Merrill Lynch. In front of number 4 tower, the green Zuccotti roof of the Dow Jones. Look to the left of the Mercantile Exchange. People ask me about that lopsided glass tower there. That's the Jenga Tower in Tribeca, Triangle Below Canal. The Jenga Tower. Less said about that, the better.
Aquela mais alta, não é?
Estava a falar daquele que nós perguntamos inicialmente, quem que era.
Best feito hoje, não é?
This is Jersey City, New Jersey, to the right. Again, a lot of these old buildings here, like this to the right, were old factories. Now they're converted to condos. Again, look at number 1 World Trade Center. To the right of it, that's where the Twin Towers once stood, where the memorial is located. The memorial is free, but they do ask for a donation when you exit the memorial. We don't call it Ground Zero anymore, ladies and gentlemen. It's the memorial. The beautiful what? We call it the memorial because the twin waterfalls, 40-foot recesses into the ground, footprints original twin towers, with the names of nearly 3,000 victims engraved on it. Again, when you go to the memorial, it's not a tourist attraction. It's a very sad, somber.
I got speedboat. Jet ski.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, very popular marina here. Again, a lot of folks who own boats, they come come up from the south and they dock here for the summertime. To our right, again in nicer weather, they just opened Surf City, very popular marina front bar and restaurant. A lot of people hang out here, not just from the boats, but people from the city and all that. They come here and hang out by the water.
Standing and driving. Dharma was telling, no? This is the best course. Take
Now to our right, an interesting vessel right here that says Liberty Landing Marina. That's an old light ship. Light ships were commonplace in harbors. They would escort vessels in from the sea so they wouldn't run aground. They were replaced by lighted buoys, lighthouses, and radar. We'll see another light ship on the East River by Pier 17 called the Ambrose later in the tour.
going back.
Ellis Island, we're going on the railroad to out to the west. Behind us is west. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now entering the Hudson River. The Hudson River, discovered in 1609 by Henry Hudson, who was charged by his employer, the Dutch West Indian Trading Company, to look for a northeast passage to Asia. Instead, he found the river here that now bears his name, and he told the Dutch they must stay here for all the natural resources that can be found here. The major commodity back in them days was the fur trade. Beaver capped the world at one time with a mixture of salt and fresh water here, making the oyster beds very strong. The oyster beds were destroyed by the early 20th century by a combination of landfill, industrialization, river traffic, pollution. But it's been reported by environmentalists that pockets of oyster beds are reappearing, indicating that the Hudson River is indeed getting cleaner. 30 to 50 feet in depth in the vicinity, up to 200 feet in depth, upstate New York. At its widest point, over 3 miles in width, upstate New York. About 3/4 mile in width down here from Jersey City to Lower Manhattan. The Hudson River is 315 miles in length, where it begins here up to Lake Teardrop of the Clouds, the Adirondack Mountains of upstate New York. The Hudson River flows in both directions, with the Atlantic Ocean pushing up salt water in front of us, fresh water being pushed down from upstate New York, contributing to the oyster beds. It's still a major thoroughfare for fuel barges out to the Midwest. To our left, does everybody see that old skyscraper, the green copper pointed top, yes or no?
Yes.
That's the Bank of Manhattan Tower, built 1930 on Wall Street, 927 feet in height. Way during the War of 1812. Battery Park to our left is built on 25 acres of landfill. Most of Lower Manhattan is built on landfill. They did this in the 19th century to widen, lengthen, and smooth out the shoreline of Lower Manhattan to make it easier for ships to dock in. Landfill consists of anything you can think of. Oyster shells, dead mules and horses, sand, dirt, logs, barrels of ships with garbage in them. Anything that take up space was used as landfill. Manhattan Island is 13 miles in length from Battery Park to our left, up the Hudson River behind us to the northern tip of Manhattan, known as Inwood Hill Park. Clock Tower is Pier A. Pier A, the only letter-designated pier in New York. All the other piers have number designations. Pier A, built in 1885, is a fireboat house, was abandoned for many years. Taken over by a developer, converted to an island. You see that circular red brick fortress right there, the small portals? That's one of 3 forts built to protect the harbor. That's one of 3 forts built to protect the harbor. Old Castle Williams. Castle Williams has an infamous past. Was a POW camp for Confederate prisoners during the American Civil War. Very cold, brutal, harsh. Later used by the Army, when the Army had a post on Governor's Island as a tough stockade for bad soldiers. To our right is Ellis Island in Upper New York Bay. Ellis Island to our right, 27 acres. From 1892 to 1954 was our immigration processing center, where over 12 million immigrants. Patty Cork in 1892. Her name was Annie Moore. The last immigrant was a Norwegian sailor named Peterson, who jumped ship in 1954. In 1907, Ellis Island accepted the most immigrants. 1.7 million immigrants passed through its gates in 1907 alone. The beautiful red brick, limestone, copper quad tower, French Romanesque style building from 1899. The original administration building on Ellis Island was made of wood that burned down over there in a fire of 1895. To our right, the smaller and abandoned infirmaries of Ellis Island. Only 4% of immigrants were rejected from Ellis Island. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going in front of the Statue of Liberty. When we get in front of the Statue of Liberty, our Captain Chris is going to do a 180 turn right in front of it. So that means everybody gets the same side of the boat to take pictures of the statue. You folks on the left side, stay where you're at. You folks on the right side, stay where you're at. We don't want to wind up like the Poseidon. Also behind us, look at that skyline. Excuse me, sir. The Statue of Liberty is facing southeast, facing the sea. The Statue of Liberty was given to this country by the country of France in 1885 to celebrate France and America's alliance, pay respects to America's independence. The statue was designed by a Parisian sculptor, one Federico Augusta Bertoldi, and the model for the statue is Bertoldi's own mother. The statue was shipped here in 1885 in 350 pieces and 214 crates. When it arrived here, the federal government refused to spend money to get it assembled, saying it's in New York, so New York should build it. That's when newspaper publisher Joseph Pulitzer of the old New York Herald newspaper began a campaign of contributions and donations, totaling over $150,000 to get the statue built. Construction began April 1886, concluded 6 months, October 1886. Not one life was lost building the statue. The statue was built on a 15-acre island that was then known as Bedloe's Island, renamed Liberty Island in 1956, now under the jurisdiction of the federal government, U.S. Parks. The statue is built on top of another. From the ground up to the torch, it's 3 to 5 feet in height. The Norwegian green copper part, 151 to 1/2 feet in height, supported by an 89-foot concrete pedestal designed by Robert Morris Hunt. Robert Morris Hunt designed the exterior of the Metropolitan Museum of Art on 5th Avenue in the late 19th century. There are 354 steps inside. In her right hand, her flowing robes from the Roman goddess Libertas, the Roman goddess of freedom, the emancipated slaves of ancient Rome prayed to. She has a size 35-foot waist, a size 879 shoe, trampling on broken chains, destroying the chains of oppression and tyranny. She marches forward. The Norwegian green copper plating on the statue is extremely thin. So thin as the copper skin. You put 2 American pennies flat on top of one another. That's the thickness of the...
Gracias. Thank you. Manu. पीछे आके एक फोटो खींचो मेरे हाथ में.
Ladies and gentlemen, look at Liberty State Park. Look to our right, and on the grassy knoll to our right is a twin white wall memorial. There's two walls there, twin white wall. The Empty Sky Memorial. The twin white wall memorial, dedicated in 2011, is a Bruce Springsteen song, Empty Sky, with the names of 746 New Jerseyans who perished at the 9/11 attack. Again, Empty Sky, dedicated 2011, again with the twin walls pointing back to where the Twin Towers once stood. Bruce Springsteen still lives in Freehold, New Jersey. Miles east is Coney Island. That's where the Atlantic Ocean is from. That's where all the water comes from. Atlantic Ocean on the other side of the Verrazano Narrows Bridge. It was built in 1964, was a long year, 42 years ago, later this year, and after 42 years, they still look back on the days of my youth with nothing but regret. And that's the Verrazano Explorer, and all the narrows, when you get down there, it narrows. The Dutch for the amounts of walnuts and chestnuts that can be found here. The Dutch settled on what was then Nut Island to the left, now Governor's Island, to protect themselves from the Indians who were here, using the surrounding waters around then Nut Island, now Governor's Island, a giant moat. The Army had a post on Governor's Island to 1966. They left, the Coast Guard took it over to 1996. They were forced out through the downsizing by the Clinton administration, Brooklyn Promenade on top of the Brooklyn Queens Expressway. Anybody here a Jack Nicholson fan? Anybody likes Jack Nicholson anymore? Nobody? Well, look to your right. You see that yellow apartment building with the gray water tank on the roof? That was Charlie Partana's apartment building in the offbeat mob movie, Prizzi's Honor. That's where him and Kathleen Turner hooked up in the unusual mob movie, Prizzi's Honor, with Angelica Houston. Shuts down. That's right. Can't walk here. Can't drive there. Can't pass gas over there. It's ridiculous. And they shut down a major thoroughfare here in New York behind the heliport, the beginning of the Franklin Delano Roosevelt Drive, the old East River Drive, built 1940, 12.5 miles in lane, cars only, connecting the southern tip of Manhattan up to Dyckman Street, Upper Manhattan. Look to your left, where you see those ferry boats going into Pier 11. Behind Pier 11, to our left, is Wall Street. Look at Trinity Church on Wall Street and Broadway, 1846, 280 feet in height. Right there. called Wall Street, the financial capital of the United States, stock exchange located there, because when the Dutch were here in 1653, the Dutch erected a stockade from the East River to the Hudson River to keep out invaders from the north ahead of us. However, when the British came from the south or the sea behind us in 1664, the Dutch gave in to the British without firing a shot. The Dutch were here to make money, not spill blood. And that's when New Amsterdam was renamed New York after Duke of York. Ladies and gentlemen, please look in front of us and see the world-famous Brooklyn Bridge. The longest steel suspension bridge when it opened in 1883, started in 1869, built by engineering family, the Roebling family. The Gothic Tower is made of granite, are 270. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please, and we can only see half of number 1 World Trade Center.
Chachu.
Go on top. Flight. What is GUCCA?
Run. Handbags.
Well, if you got stuff with Eddie's laser.
Twin Towers? वो Twin Towers अभी नहीं है, इसके बदल में कर दिया, बीच में बनाया। बट एक ही है ना, दूसरा टावर कहाँ पे? Where is the other tower? They rebuilt the same tower, no? Same place. That is the memorial. सेल्फी लेंगे तीनों कम
चाचू चाचू
सोने से एयरक्राफ्ट ऐसा भी है
चाचू
पूरा मॉस्किटो जैसा है देखो
क्या
इधर से देखे तो मॉस्किटो जैसा है आजा आजा
कम गेट डाउन
उधर से डाउन
चलो किधर से भी देखेंगे
चलो ये पत्ते ले लो इधर से
ఏమంటాడు దాంట్లో పెట్టేసిండా ఇట్స్ కమింగ్ ఇక్కడికి వస్తుందా
खुला नहीं है बंद है
No, also please ring downstairs.